Hey everybody, welcome to Leon's Chainsaw Parts and Repair. I want to go through a clutch removal procedure on these Homelite saws, and this is going to apply to a lot of other saws as well, but we're talking Homelite, so that's what I'm working on. If you've got a clutch, these are all reverse thread. That way, as the engine rotates, it's actually tightening up as opposed to loosening up. Otherwise, the first time you put your chain into the wood, it would just spin this clutch right off and be no use to you at all. So they can get pretty damn tight, especially on a saw like this one from 1974. Maybe this has never been off. Now, I don't believe that's true, because the sprocket rim would have worn out a long time ago by now, so it's been off, but who knows how many years, probably decades at this point, that this one's been sitting like this. So it's tight. The first instinct might be to take a rattle gun to it. About as far as I'm willing to go with a rattle gun these days is the battery powered, and this is a 1/4 inch drive. I have broken too many pins on the clutch tool. Now, you can get reproductions of this tool on eBay. The original Homelite parts aren't that easy to find, and breaking these pins is not a good option, because sooner or later we're going to run out of them. And finding good hardened pins these days, I'm sure they're out there, but it's not like you're going to run down to your local Ace Hardware and find them. So anyhow, number one, make sure you've got a proper tool, or you can make one that's going to be strong enough to stand up to some pretty good torque here. Now, if you've got a flywheel that's still on the saw, in theory you could fashion a holding tool by simply removing the pawls and getting a piece of metal and drilling holes that are that far apart and bolting it on here. And that way you could hold the other side. Now, if you're breaking a saw down to clean it, do crank seals, whatever, odds are good you need to get the flywheel off too. So the other way you can do this, it's cheap and easy, is get yourself a length of rope. Now this is what the hell is that? Number 5 starter rope. So 5mm rope, and there's about 2.5, 3 feet here that I've stuffed into the cylinder. But there's a couple things you want to watch out for. You want to roll your engine over the direction that you're going to be turning in order to break your clutch loose, and make sure the piston's on the upstroke, and make sure that at least one ring is above the cylinder landing there before you start stuffing rope in. Otherwise, you can accidentally stuff rope and have it come through into the muffler port and jam the engine as you start to tighten this down. You could break a ring. You could probably actually break some metal in the cylinder if you were really reefing on it. So make sure piston's in the right spot. Make sure your rope is relatively clean, and I don't mean brand new white rope. It's going to get greasy and oily. What you don't want is dirt and debris getting down in there. So keep your rope in a safe spot if you do this more than once. So again, just stuff some rope down in the spark plug hole. I used pair of needle nose pliers and I've already loaded it up. You can see that what's left here goes in still pretty easily. You don't have to completely fill it. You just need enough that it's going to squish against the top of the cylinder as the piston comes up and hold it. Leave yourself a rat tail there, so you've got something to get a hold of to get it back out. And then roll it over by hand. And there, she's getting good and tight. That's it. So now, you want to make sure that whatever is in front of you, if you've got, getting ready to reef down on this, make damn certain that you're not going to break whatever's there. I'm going to try from right about this position, because I can hold the back of the saw, kind of lean into it. Now the rope is going to squish a little. You want to make sure that your tool doesn't slip off the clutch. There she goes. Now I didn't just lean into that as hard as I could all at once. Because what would have happened is it would have slipped, my arm would have come forward, and I would have gored myself on the damn bucking spike, or slipped and fallen on the bench and broken a tooth. You know, all the dumb stuff that can happen. But just steady, even pressure, increase it until you feel the clutch give. And she's going to spin right off after that. There you go. It takes a little time to set it up right, and if it means you've got to order an aftermarket tool, the guy in, oh, what the hell is it, Marysville, Washington, I think he's custom chainsaw parts on eBay, sells a reproduction of these. It's in an aluminum block, but it's going to work to get your clutch apart. Take the time, get what you need.